It's March 2020. This is Alvin Tavares with another episode of How's the Market. Let's start by looking at the national data. If we look at the 10-year historical data, we can tell that over the last 10 years, home prices nationally have gone up, and this is through peaks and valleys. The positive news is that it's an even slope. It goes up gradually over the last 10 years. We're not seeing a sharp incline or decline. This is very healthy and very sustainable. I think many of us have PTSD from the last recession, and we think that it's normal to have a bubble burst every couple of years. It's actually not. And if we look at these charts, there's no bubble emerging. If there is any type of bubble, it's definitely not within housing. Today's market is both a great time for both sellers and buyers. On the sell side is that we're at the high end of the market, which is really great. Chances are if you bought between the last 3 to 10 years, you have a great deal of equity in your market. As housing prices begin to flatten out, now could be a great time to sell. And if you're looking to buy, interest rates are at historic lows. Think about it. Typical inflation is between 2 and 3%. Many borrowers can qualify to get 3.5% interest rate. That means your cost to borrow money is about 0.5 to 1%. Money is free right now. Take advantage of it. And there's more good news when we look at the national sales data. First time home buyers are making up 3% more of the market than they did last year. This is great news. These are your millennials and your Gen Z. So now we're going to transition into Lee County, Florida. Sales volume here are up 25% versus last year. This is a combination of last year's first quarter being so poor and this year's being pretty good. Median sales price in Lee County was up 2.1%. This is about what we anticipated, and I think we'll be around this number for the rest of the summer. And then after that, we'll hit an inflection point, or we'll realize whether we're going to sustain these highs or whether we'll hit some turbulence. So if we break down the sales data by cities, we can tell that overall, every city in Lee County is doing very well. This is true for all of the back half of last year and now the first quarter of this year. This is really good news. Every month, it seems like there's one city that's in red, and then the following month, they turn green again. So I'm not too worried about Bonita Springs being in the red for this month. One of the trends that we can see is that the cities that are on the water, that have access to the Gulf, they're all doing phenomenally well. And I think this is in large part because we have not had any concern at all about red tide, about green algae, and the concern about water is very, very low. So this chart will show whether the homes within your city are increasing or decreasing in value. But if you want to know what your house is worth, I'd always recommend getting a CMA. I actually have a link in the bottom. So for the month of March, I will be doing a free CMA for everyone. And I recommend getting a CMA even if you're just curious to see what your house is worth, even if you bought the house recently and have no intention of selling. And here's why. Here we have a heat index. The dark blue represents more expensive properties. These are properties that are closer to $1 million. And obviously, the closer you are to these neighborhoods, those blue markers start to widen and expand over time. Looking at this chart, we can tell that the area of Northwest Cape Coral around Burnstone Road is really bursting with activity, and home values there are really going up. For your free home evaluation, please feel free to click on the link below. There you can put in your address and you'll get your report in a matter of minutes. My name is Alvin Tavares, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Thank you and take care.